Welcome to the Hobby Jogger Podcast, where elite athletes and ham and eggers lace up their stories. We explore the common ground that running creates, from the world-class runner to the hobbyist hitting the pavement, trail, or treadmill. Expect a blend of inspiration, laughter, and the shared joy that makes every step count. Join us on this journey where every run is a story worth sharing. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of The Hobby Jogger. I am your co-host, Casey Koza. I am once again joined by my co-host, Mr. Rob Myers. Rob, how you holding up in the heat down there in Tennessee?
I'm doing pretty well sitting in the AC. Excited to dig into this podcast, talk about Laurel 2025.
Yep. One of my favorite races. We get to discuss Laurel Highlands 2025, the adventure, some misadventure, but we'll get into that with our guests here. First, we have Nikki Niemeyer. Nikki, welcome back to the Hobby Jogger.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
Doing great. Enjoying this heat, humidity.
Yeah, 94, not much fun. Hey, trying to stay cool. Got to run in early this morning.
That's good.
We're also joined by my dear friend, Mr. William Walmsley. Will, how are we doing today?
Oh, doing pretty good. It's a nice, cool 95-degree day. Nothing compared to 110, 115. Fantastic. Eating dinner, enjoying the weather.
Yeah. You are a Phoenix boy, raised out in the desert, so heat no stranger to you. Although this is a wet heat, not the dry heat that you're used to.
Big difference.
That still feels like it's hot.
Yes. Yeah. We were out there in the desert last year, and it was, as soon as you get above 95, it doesn't matter what it is, hot, cold, or wet, cold, or not cold, wet, dry, whatever. It's hot. Hot is hot. So you both ran the Laurel Highlands hiking trail ultra, which was now 2 weeks ago, correct? Last weekend.
Was that last weekend?
Yeah, week ago. Had a long weekend this weekend, so
Crewing's hard.
crewing was grueling for that race. It's not an easy race to crew. So
I mean, you were out there a while.
If only your runner was faster.
well, we'll get into that. Will, we'll start with you. I kind of gave you a briefing of what I thought of at least the first 30 miles, and I think I was pretty accurate about that. I gave it to both you and Nikki. Walk us through, I guess, the first 11. That's the tough part of the course. For anyone who's listening to this in the future, if you want to run Laurel Highlands, it's pretty rough from miles 1 to 8. So
Laurel Highlands, it's nice old school course. It's in about an hour east of Pittsburgh, runs point to point. Starts in Ohio Pile. Where's the finish line at?
near Johnstown.
Okay.
We didn't get there, so
Nope, I'm not aware of where it was. No. Unfortunately. Yeah, the full course, I think 70 miles. If you complete all of that, I think the total elevation gain is 11,000 feet, which is a good amount, but it's also just incredibly rocky the entire way. So your downhills, you're hitting rocks, your flat parts, you're dodging rocks. There's areas where it's overgrown grass and you have softball-sized rocks that you're trying not to step on too much. I mean, it's a pretty gnarly course, really unforgiving. Not a whole lot of runnable sections. The first 11 miles, even the first 8, that'd be your infamous section where, gate to 8 miles, you've got about 2,500 feet of climbing, one big climb, 2 smaller ones, and then the biggest one to end it. Between like mile 6, 7, gets you to the top, and then a little bit slight elevation gain to mile 8, and then kind of runnable from 8 until mile 11. Mile 11 is the first aid station on the entire course. So that's just kind of the intro into it. And then from 11 on, it's kind of just a little bit of climbing here and there, rocky, whole bunch of scenery, green, overgrown, beautiful white flowers, just absolutely everywhere. Absolutely gorgeous scenery the entire course. It's kind of a little bit of breakdown on Laurel Highlands.
In that first aid station, you looked pretty good. And then when I ran my segment of the race, I'm like, this is bad. This humidity is like nothing I've ever felt.
Yeah. Yeah, the race it didn't go off too bad. Like the initial goal was because that section has the most climbing, average elevation gain. It's definitely, hey, take it real easy. Going it real easy. Don't go out too hard, save something and use it as like 11-mile warm up, if you will, and then all right, now start running from 11 on. And that was the plan going in, but yeah, race morning, I think starting temps were mid 70s, mid to low 70s, but well over 90% humidity. It was sticky out, thick like butter. Yeah, it didn't go great. It's kind of weird when my race didn't go great. Kind of went out easy, but with the humidity, it's hard to take anything easy. And yeah, less than 5 miles in and already start cramping up. And yeah, I may have been looking all right the first aid station, even hit my, hey, want to be here at this time, and felt like that was real conservative. Hit that almost within a minute, but no, I was cramping up like crazy already 11 miles
I was a
in.
bit worried for you there.
Yeah.
And another thing, if people find this podcast that are looking at this race, it's a very rugged course and it never relents. The trail there's always boulders, there's always rocks, like you said. It's just you never get a break of just smooth, easy trail. Now, Nikki, I gave you the rundown, the same spiel I gave Will the week before. What was your first 11 miles like? Because you've never been on the trail before, correct?
Yeah, that was my first time ever on Laurel Highlands Trail. You guys, one of the group runs we did, I think it was David was telling me it was a super rocky course, and I was like, okay, noted. And then I was talking to you, Casey, like a week before the race, and you were saying you're like the first 11 miles is a lot of climbing, and I remember you saying miles 11 through 19 are going to be a lot more runnable, and so that was in my head. And I've been doing a lot of climbing for just training in general because I signed up for a race in Switzerland in September. So I'm just trying to do all the climbing I can get, hill repeats, all that. And so honestly, the gate to 8, I was loving it. I was like, okay. I mean, I was getting my ass kicked, but I was loving it. I was like, okay, this is great. Like I could climb. I just felt like I could climb all day. I got to mile 11 and Connie was crewing me and she was helping crew. She was kind of helping you with Will just a little bit. I think she bumped into you guys and she said mile 11, Will looked great. She's like, this next section now I saw him. She's like, I saw him at 19. He didn't look so good. She's like, so take it easy. She said, just chill. And at that point at 11, I was feeling great too. I was like, okay, cool. Like this is the runnable part. Like this is gonna be great. And then
it's more runnable, Nikki. It's more
runnable. Yeah. Yes. Keyword. And I think honestly, right after that mile 11 aid station, like the humidity or something just started, it was hitting me pretty hard. And I was like, I just remember thinking, wow, my threshold pace is my hike right now. Like, like anytime I tried to run, it was heart rate skyrocketing. So I think a lot of that was the humidity. Yeah, even the parts that look more runnable, like Will was saying with the rocks, it was almost like miles 11 through 19 were, I feel like I wasn't even moving as well as when I was climbing because of all the rocks, and they were kind of greasy because it was kind of raining. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just humidity, but everything was wet.
Rained overnight.
So it was all slick. Yeah, and then made it to mile 19. At that point, I was like, oh, I'm done. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm going to call it a 19-mile run. Connie was my aide, and she's like...
She wasn't letting you drop.
No, she was. So my thing was, I knew she was kind of like playing skip on work a little bit that day. And I was like, hey, Connie, don't you need to get back to work? Like we could go. I was like, I'm going to be out here all day. I was like, so if you want to go, she's like, no, like you're good. And I was ready to stop. Like I was at the aid station for like 20 minutes. And I remember the aid station volunteer. He's like, hey, have you ever done this course before? And I was like, no. I was like, I haven't. He said, well, just so you know, he said, the next part is pretty runnable. He said, but what he said that actually worked on me was he's like, oh, but he's like, wait till you get to the section where you get out of the trail and it opens up to 7 springs and it's a beautiful view. And I'm a sucker for that. And I was like, oh shoot. So then I kept going, and I was happy I kept going because the course is, like Will was saying, is beautiful, and there's all the flowers were bloomed, and you go through like these ledges, and I definitely want to do the full course now just because I want to see it all.
Yeah, and it is beautiful. It's kind of the same course throughout. I think. I mean, I haven't ran much past mile 31, but certainly it seems like the rocks never quit being rocky.
No.
Now, Rob, what section did you run?
Leg 2.
Okay, so you ran the more runnable section.
I did.
How do the legs for the relay work? There's 3 people.
First aid station, second aid station.
It's mile 11, mile 19.
Yeah.
And then third person finishes out the last 12 miles.
Yeah. It's a little bit shorter, though, because it stops before your 31 aid station. It doesn't go across the road. It's on the other side of Route 31.
I did see the turnoff for that.
Yep. You probably wanted to make that turn right about then, huh?
I mean, at that point, I was still thinking like, the race kind of sucked. I mean, I had a goal of going in and pivoted. I think my goal time, by 11, I was already pivoting to, I'm not running like I felt like I should have been, and maybe just finish and let's go with a different time. And yeah, I was still going pretty good at moving at 31, 32, and I wasn't thinking about dropping too much. I wanted to at 19, but that's when I just decided to keep going.
Well, I was not going to let you drop at 26 because if I had to wind through all that neighborhood and back roads to get there, you were definitely going to go to mile 31. So,
I think seeing you at Seven Springs, that was one you had talked about not even going. Seeing you there, like I wasn't even close to dropping at 26. I don't think. It was just chug a soda, keep going, and
yeah, the root beer brought you back, and the Mexican cola.
yeah, that's what I was trying to do to compensate. Was every aid station have a bottle of liquid calories, and then refill my own bottles and carry an extra handheld in addition to what I had in my vest. And all right, let's try to get rehydrated while doing it. And now it just kept spiraling out of control as I went.
That's tough. Now, Nikki, you didn't have the best race that you could have. You struggled. You're on the bus a little bit. You're coming back. You said you want to do the full 70 next year. Hey, folks, if you're loving the stories, tips, and laughs we're dishing out, make sure you don't miss an episode. Hit that subscribe button so you're the first to know when a new episode drops. And hey, if you've got a second, why not leave us a review? Your feedback helps us improve and keeps this running community growing. Lace up, hit subscribe, and let's get back into the show.
Yeah, so honestly, after 19, that was probably my lowest point, and then things got better. It's funny because I started feeling a lot better, but my pace never improved, but I'll take it. And so then, you finish the race and you're on that high of like, that was great, even though you just died. So I'm still riding that high. And I've never done a race. I've never done an ultra that's been point to point. It's always like an out and back or loops. And so I really like the fact that you cover an entire trail and it's point to point. So I think that would be really cool.
Never see the same thing twice.
That is a cool part of it. And their aid station volunteers are top notch there. Where Will dropped 46, Will?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The Trail Sisters run that aid station and they do a phenomenal job. Tried their best to get Will off the mat, but
yeah, the aid stations were great.
Yeah, 46 was the one where it was marked out with aid station fireball. Fireball shots for everyone.
Yep, fireball shots for everyone. You wouldn't.
Where I was at, it was disappointing. I'm like, I'm not continuing, and I don't feel like I can have any alcohol right now. That would not be good.
I think we need to double down on the humidity, though, and bring it up multiple times throughout this podcast.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable that you two made it as far as you did. Nikki finishing, because I ran, I think, 6-7 miles, and I thought I was going to die at the end. So I can just imagine what you guys were going through.
On the way to the race, I realized, we drove there the morning of, so Connie and I got up at 3 a.m. or something.
Drive from Ohio.
From Ohio, from Akron, and we drove there just because a lot of stuff for work came up the day before. We're like 5 minutes from the race, and I'm looking in my bag with all my nutrition, and I'm like, I don't have my Endurolites. Like, I didn't have my salt. And I'm thinking, like, there's nothing I can do. Like, we're going to have to roll with it. And I remember at mile 11, Connie gave me my Gator Light. I grabbed a Gator Light, and she poured a Pedialyte packet into my Gator Light, which is another Pedialyte. And I remember thinking that's going to be a lot of salt. And I tasted it. I was like, this is amazing. like, oh, I'm in trouble.
So around here, I don't know how it was for you down in Tennessee, Rob. We didn't have much heat or humidity to run in. Like it was, I was just talking to someone today. They went to work at the beginning of the June with a frost advisory. To have that big of a change in a couple of weeks is probably doesn't happen very often. Usually you get at least a couple weeks of hot weather to kind of get used to the heat and humidity, but we didn't have much to train in here, and the sauna doesn't really help with the jungle like humidity out there.
I was looking at the forecast going into it, and it was supposed to be 60, 70% rain the entire day. And knowing like we had not been able to run in heat here, to me, that was like the best news possible. Like, oh, we haven't been able to do any kind of running in the heat. So instead of it being 80 degrees and hot, well, it's going to be raining all day. We have had a lot of rain this spring. So that's where I was super pumped about it. And then on race day, I think there were two different spurts of 10-second sprinkles, 100% of the humidity.
Yep, not much, but it was for sure humid.
It desperately needed to rain.
It poured, dumped the night before, which certainly helped the humidity levels quite a bit.
Kept the rock slick, none of the cooling on it. It was like worst case scenario, given like what the forecast was.
So Will, you dropped this year. Nikki's going back to run the full pool next year. What's on your mind for Laurel Highlands? Are we going back? Are we let's move on and find something else? Or
Pacing sounds really great. You can hop in with a pacer at mile 46. Just see the rest of the course I missed.
you could run it and see the rest of the course too.
I know. And that's
It's
the
on
thing.
something.
Like the finishing that you get for, the trophy instead of a medal, they have so every mile on Laurel Highlands Trail is this little stone with the number mile markers. So you pass mile 1, there's a big little pillar stone with number 1 on it, and you keep going. So you don't need a GPS watch. The course will tell you how far along you are. But when you finish having that trophy with a wooden stone pillar with 70 on it, I'm like, that is got to be one of the coolest trophies you can get for a race. That'd be really cool to get.
So you are doing it next year, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm hearing.
I'm not saying no.
He's not saying no. He's non-committed at this point. It's still early yet. Thought maybe we'd get a hot take from him.
It's 1 week out. If I'm being truly honest, I'd like a little bit of redemption because, yeah, the cramping like that early into it, like I had a great block going in, and the work week leading up to it whooped my ass. I was cramping well before the race even started the night before, and yeah, I didn't feel like I actually got to try running it, which kind of sucks. And going into a hot, humid day already dehydrated, it's tough.
Yeah, it is. Not good. Not the ideal situation. But I can guarantee you, because I've been there, Rob, we've been there, last 3 years, 4 years?
4 years for me.
It's been hot and humid, I think, every year, right? Maybe the one year was cool and rainy.
I think the first year it rained the whole time. I don't remember the second, third year. I think they were about the same.
I know last year in the 50K, I was pretty cooked towards the end. I was pretty hot.
Yeah, last year. Yep.
But we had better weather to train in last year. It was just hotter here. It was warmer. It wasn't
50s and rain every weekend.
We didn't have frost advisories 2 weeks before it, out there in sweatshirts and stuff. So Nikki, you learned something from this, obviously. You had some takeaways, and now you have some hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
What will you change in these longer trail races going forward, do you think?
Yeah, every trail race, every race you learn something. And that's why I think you're better off doing more races. And Will should definitely do it next year because he's going to keep learning. And then he's going to think about the race this year, and he'll think, oh, it can't be as bad as last year. So it's good. It's like a toolkit. Like you just pull stuff from that. But yeah, so I learned that uncrustables are great. those, like, especially when you're in the trails and you're doing a lot of hiking, like more food than gels. I didn't use any gels. It was Uncrustables and bananas. I learned to not forget my Endurolights. Oh, one thing, I was hiking all the steep inclines, like the first 8 miles. I was like, okay, just power hike
Power
them.
hiking, great reference. Great reference. We don't walk, right, Rob?
We don't
It's
walk.
not walking.
If you're on a trail, it's power hiking.
We power hike. I think in my head, I was like, oh, like this is, you tell yourself things so you try to be better. I'm like, okay, my power hiking is my strong suit. So then on the hikes, I would like try to just out hike people on them. And then I get to the top and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I should like still try to stay chill when I'm hiking, Like I was like, so I think next year on the climbs, just stay relaxed. Like the climbs aren't a race. And then maybe just train more on rocks. I don't know.
Yeah, the rocks is tough. We don't have that around here where you're, kind of slightly going downhill, but you're still having to step up over things, and it's just
a different beast. But I was thinking, well, it'll make it so a lot of other trail races are going to seem a lot more runnable than if I hadn't done this. So.
Yeah. We went out to canyons, I think, a couple weeks after running Gate to 8, and it's like running the towpath with elevation. Like there was just very smooth, very non-rocky.
That California carpet, Casey.
California carpet. Heck yeah. I like it out there. Will, how about you? What were your takeaways from this? Other than, maybe a little bit less life stress the week before, that's something that, as non-pro runners, not a whole lot we can do about that.
And the whole week leading up to it, like I've, knowing my brother and all that, talking to him in races, he talks about like interviews and trying to avoid as much stresses as he can. So I know the week leading up to, I was more focused on like, oh, work's long today. Just be apathetic towards it. Nothing's stressing me out. Oh, gotta take the kids to dance, soccer, gotta make dinner. I was just trying to be as apathetic and checked out the whole week, just worried about keeping stress levels low. And now I need to do a better job on controlling hydrating. That part, I'm just in hindsight, I'm like such an easy thing to do. Like every sport, you're like, drink water, start on Monday. Nah, let that one go. For the actual race, for Laurel Highlands specifically, having a better idea of how rocky it is after mile 8, once you get into the more runnable sections. Yeah, I thought the shoe choice that I had would have been really good. It was a Tecton X3s, but that being such a thick foam, I'd probably want something a little less cushiony. I know had to retie my shoes once, and from that point, it was pretty good. But even then, I'd probably still like something that can feel the rocks a little bit better. Yeah, for out in California, I think the Tecton X3s is a great shoe choice.
Obviously, everyone has different preference and whatnot, but
Right.
I've always just worn the lowest stack height shoe I can find out there.
If we talk to Connie Gardner, I was taking a lot of sodium during the race. I had sodium citrate that I was adding 750 milligrams to each bottle I had, and I was trying to down at least one bottle per
Actually,
hour.
Will, I was adding those.
You were adding them. You were adding a 3/4 teaspoon of sodium citrate to each bottle, in addition to the liquid calories, which those have 200 milligrams of sodium per scoop. So I was getting tons of it. Heavy salter, heavy, high concentration sweater. But Connie right away is, oh, you're only taking sodium. You're not worried about the other electrolytes. What about potassium, magnesium, calcium, chloride, everything? Ah! So one of the first things I did, maybe even on my way home, sitting passenger while my wife was driving, that was one thing. I hopped on Amazon, made sure to order the magnesium and potassium, be able to put that in bottles.
That's a good idea. That is, yeah. I was trying to open up this Never Second box to see what their levels are in it, but they have quite a bit of sodium.
200 milligrams. Yeah, and for myself, my concentration I think was around 13 or 1600 milligrams per liter.
And also, the group chat was strongly urging me to get you to caffeinate. I will say there was a big push for a Red Bull at mile 46 to get you off the canvas.
I think maybe, I had a Red Bull right before the start. That may have been one of the worst things to have because it's hot. Well, not hot, but as humid as it was with all that climbing, it's easy effort, but that was just getting heart rate to spike. Maybe that's a race where I avoid the caffeine and then, all right, let's power chug at 11,
Yeah. Nikki, you caffeine user in races?
Yes, but mostly I have a cup of coffee beforehand for any race to avoid the headache because I'm a caffeine addict. And then if I use gels, I'll get half of them with caffeine. But yeah, I didn't use any caffeine for Laurel. But if I have a bad spout, yeah, I'll like drink some energy drink or coffee, anything with caffeine to get my brain back into it.
Well, what about you? You're a coffee guy, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. 2-3 cups ish, depending how early I can wake up in the morning. You got to get through the whole morning routine. You know what I'm saying? So more coffee, the better.
I agree with that. But Will, you had an interesting, I don't want to say theory or reason for the Red Bull versus the coffee, which, well, do you want to explain what that was?
Yeah, so like I normally drink coffee. I don't like having energy drinks. But I've just heard with coffee being acidic can be upsetting the tummy later on in the race and start causing GI issues. So having something like Red Bull a little bit easier on the stomach is a different form of getting caffeine right off the rip and, mitigating any chance you might have of any GI issues, which, man, yeah, my stomach felt fine. I had no problem eating throughout the entire day. So maybe there is something to it.
Yeah, I was to say your stomach was, even with the heat humidity, that's usually what turns it for me. But your stomach, you were still eating. I mean, I don't think it was the calories in that was the hydration issue, but it wasn't going to be a problem for you.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I got to 46. Abu handed me some bacon and it was phenomenal. Some pierogies.
Couple pierogies.
I'm getting hungry.
Nikki, with the heat and humidity, because that's a big thing with this race. Obviously, we've touched on that throughout the show here. But did you have any stomach issues?
No, I'm usually pretty blessed in that area of racing. No, I was thinking about it though. I was like, I didn't go to the bathroom once, and I was chugging liquid, and I never had to go to the bathroom. But I had coffee beforehand. But I figure I drink coffee before I run every day, so hopefully it shouldn't lead to major issues.
Yeah.
But no, it's good.
Yeah, I think my stomach's pretty proofed against the coffee, I feel. But I certainly understand the thinking behind that. That makes sense. Especially for longer races.
Crazy that you were saying you weren't like, oh no, I didn't have to pee or anything. It was like, even as dehydrated as I was, like, no, I still peed a few times and got scary. That's like one of the big reasons why I DNF'd was just, nope, this is getting worse. I've never seen straight dark brown.
Yeah, that's a scary thing to have happen.
Yeah. I mean, it got to that point, couldn't walk at all without getting a cramp. It started moving from the legs up into side stitches and lower back pain. I'm like, after 46, it's 11 miles till the next aid station. I don't want to walk 11 miles.
Yeah. When you look down and the pea is matching the bark on the tree that you're going on, it's a little concerning.
Got to keep your kidneys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need those.
Make
We
them
only
happy.
have 2 of them.
Yeah.
We do have 2 kidneys, right?
Yes.
We do.
One liver.
Should.
Yeah. That's hanging out in these seedy bars in Highland Square, Gotta be careful. So Nikki's back in for the 70. Will's yet undecided.
He's
in. Now, Nikki, you mentioned you were running a race over in Switzerland later, well, in the fall, correct?
Yes.
Sweet. What is that race?
So it's Trail des Dents du Midi. It's in a town in Switzerland that starts with a CH, like all of them. It might be like Charmey. It's a 57K. It's like 35 miles. It's 13,000 feet of elevation gain. So I'm just trying to do all the races that'll kick my ass so I can be used to that for when it happens in Switzerland. But it's going to be beautiful.
It's beautiful over there.
September 20th. And I've never been to Europe, so I figure this is the way to do it.
You do have your passport, right?
Got the passport, renewed it in December. Yep.
Perfect.
Got the flight. I don't have places to stay yet. Gotta look into that.
That's not a hard thing to do over there. It's pretty reasonable. In car, if you rent a car.
Swiss cows love their bells.
This race is, according to Connie Gardner, the oldest running trail race in Europe. She raced this almost 20 years ago. and just had a blast, and said the race director is amazing. No one there speaks English. So it's really, and she says, there's no hoopla. Like, it's just, you're in the mountains. So
Yeah, they
Awesome.
Poles.
with poles, I'm going to borrow Will's poles. I've never used them before.
I recommend the poles. I like the poles.
Yeah, you both have ran in Switzerland, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
More France.
Yeah, I guess.
But the Alps.
France?
The Alps.
Yeah.
The Alps. Okay.
Yep. Rob and I are going over here in August, so we'll be not too far from where you're going. So we'll give you the course recon of the land there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Connie, how does she have the capability of being everywhere at the same time? At Laurel, it seemed like I ran into her like, every 45 minutes. Like, what
And
are
she
you
had
doing
her
here?
two dogs with her too.
Yeah, she was everywhere all the time. It was Connie's spotting. Like, I don't know. It was kind of freaky. She just appeared out of nowhere.
Hilarious. Yeah, she's pulling up the aid stations, but she didn't have service, and I really don't understand how she was finding them all. Like, she's like, I couldn't put them in my map. And then she'd tell me how Will was doing at 2 different aid stations, and I'm like, wait, how did you? It was impressive.
Yeah.
She didn't even have a car. She was just running back and forth.
Yeah.
She was, because I was trying to explain to her the Seven Springs. Because I grew up out there, so I know where the aid stations are. And I was like, well, you go up and you go to the back of this neighborhood, and then if you hear the shooting range, you're getting closer. But yeah, didn't really know how to explain it to her.
Oh, the
You found
shooting
it.
range one tripped me out. Like, you're hearing that for at least a mile or two before you even see a single sign that you're coming up on Clay Pigeon shooting range. I'm just hearing gunshots going off. I'm like, it's getting closer.
Ah,
I'm like, are there runners ahead of me getting shot right now? Like, what is going on?
Motivation to run faster. That's what that is.
No, motivation to run back.
At that point, I was hoping it would hit me. I was like, all right, where is it?
Rob, I forgot to leave. I actually forgot to leave that out of my pre-race briefing for both of them. The shooting range.
Got it.
So, Will, what do you have? I know you're in Boston in the spring.
Yep. Doing Boston Marathon next spring.
Did you register yet?
It hasn't opened yet.
Oh, it's not open. Okay. You did not qualify on a downhill course, so
Yeah.
Columbus.
flat and fast. Columbus.
Both qualified in Columbus. Crazy.
Do you have any other trail races on the horizon?
I mean, we've got Burning River Relay race that we have to do at the end of next month, but nothing that I've like committed to. Yeah, no, the idea of doing Grindstone 100K, that sounds fun in September. Maybe do a fall marathon. I don't know.
You can always go back to Ohio Pile for the Fall Classic, ran in reverse on the 50K course.
Ooh.
Was it that one? Or they're doing another one that's September 29th, where it's from mile 39 to the finish.
31 to the finish. It's the fall. They ran it last year. It's the Fall Classic 50K.
No, they're doing that, I think. But then they're also doing from mile 39 to mile 70.
Oh, I didn't.
It's a separate 50K
Oh, I didn't know
race.
that. Oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. When is it?
Yeah, I sent that to you and Pope. I'm like, hey, Pope, if Grindstone 100 miler doesn't work out, you could do this one.
I think you sent me the Fall Classic that goes just backwards on the. I think. I don't know. I'll look at it.
You need to double
Yeah,
check it.
I'll
Either
double
way.
check it. But all right, so yeah, possible Grindstone. Looking forward to the Boston Marathon.
Yeah. I just know I was not ready to pivot and sign up for another race, even though some people are like, hey, another 2 weeks. You got this race in New York. You want to do this instead? You're fit.
That was me.
No, I don't want to say it. But no, I finished this up and I'm ready for summer at this point. Relax a little bit, go with the kids to the pool, clean up around the house. Wife's been asking me to do a couple projects that I've been lacking on. I've used running as a cop-out to avoid everything.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah, not much. Can't run a whole lot right now. It's 96 degrees or whatever. So, but
Yeah, that's what they made bikes for, right?
it's what they make bikes for. Yeah, go fast. What about you, Rob? You got anything coming up?
No, not too much. I mean, Burning River, I'm running the marathon. Yeah, after that, there's not a lot on the calendar. I have to start filling it up.
Yeah, got to fill it. Got nothing on the calendar.
I think Grindstone only has the 100K left.
Is the 100 miler full?
No, they don't sell that out.
The 50K filled up.
Is the 50K full?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
Really?
that, and they may have a 20K, and I don't know. They only have 100K, 100 mile that are open.
All right, real quick before we go, Will, you got to be brief on this because we don't have much time left. We'll start with Nikki. Hopefully you're prepared for this, Nikki.
Oh boy.
Western States picks. Do you got any?
I don't even know who's racing.
All right, Nikki's out for that. Rob, who you got?
Will, who you got?
Will, who you got?
For the women's race, Fu Zhao, I think she'd be awesome. Esther Chislog, I think, will be really up there. And then uh, Brady Riley Brady. They've been having an awesome year, one black cannon. So those are the top three, I think, for the women. For the men, I'm going to be boring and not jump on a limb. It's really hard to bet against Killian Jornet. But outside of him, Rod Farvard placed second last year. I think he's probably got the best chance to win. And then a lot of people sleeping on my boy Vincent Bouillard.
I am not.
Won UTV last year. So those would be my top three for the men. Not sure what order yet.
Yeah. My top three for the women, and actually as I look at it now, one of them is scratched, so I got to come up with another third.
Who's that?
Lin Chen.
Oh, she scratched.
Yeah, the woman whose foot was falling off last year at
Yeah.
yeah. Hopefully her foot's okay. But Martina, I'm gonna mess this up, but I'll come, I think, fairly close. Mielczek, Polish, and Fu Zhao were previously my two picks. But yeah, I'm going with I believe Adam Peterman. A lot of experience out there. So going to take him to win it. And I like the young man from Georgia to be in the top three as well, Hans Troyer. So those are two of my top three picks. I forget who the third one is because I wasn't even prepared for my own question. So
Daniel Jones or
Daniel
Caleb?
Jones, that's it. Yep,
Yeah.
that is it. So that is my top three. And
Are you going to put Emily Hoggood as your third one for the women just for keeping a separate three from mine?
yeah, I don't want to have the same. Well, Lin Chen being a scratch here is that's unfortunate because she was having another good year. Had a really strong race last year until they showed. I saw a video of it. Didn't look good. So
Yeah.
I felt bad for her. But yeah, good to get those Western States picks in. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. Nikki, I certainly appreciate it. I look forward to rooting for you over in Switzerland from afar, and definitely looking forward to seeing you do the full pull of the course next year.
Thank you.
Will, we had a great wedding weekend. It was fun. We drank a lot of beer. Stay hydrated, my friend.
I'll go drink some water.
Thank you for joining this episode of The Hobby Jogger. We will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Hobby Jogger. We hope you've enjoyed our conversation today. And if you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support keeps us moving forward. Until next time, keep those feet moving and enjoy the miles.